Why is it said that people live a middle position in this world? Our life is to realize the three God-centered blessings. This means that we must inherit God's heart and love. Our life has no meaning if we live far from God and His ideal. Because of the fall of Adam and Eve, all mankind until today is as if it did not exist, in that it does not live completely on God's side, but in a middle position spiritually between God and Satan. Every person is trapped in a position of having spiritually a connection with both God and Satan. In fact, anyone in the world cannot help but have both good and evil thoughts, instincts, emotions, desires at the same time. Any kind of Christian or religious person, any kind of successful person, rich or poor, is in a middle position, even the most famous people. The world lives its emotions horizontally, without heart, connection with God. People do not have the spiritual power that God would like to give them and make them understand. In many cases, they are also afraid of God. All this lack of spiritual knowledge, though, promotes the work of influencing us into the evil of Satan and his evil angelic world. This is something we have to overcome with God. These evil, Cain-style, ugly emotions, these ugly feelings toward God that we experience and go through our lives, is not how God sees us and would want us to live. Unfortunately, because we live in a world that was created out of God's ideal, out of the Garden of Eden, God used in the history of restoration many central figures to restore it, but He could not accept and recognize this world, which started with the first family, Adam and Eve, corrupted spiritually and physically by Satan, who then multiplied his evil genes, through them, to all mankind in history, up to the present day. That is why God used so many people to restore Him, sending Jesus and promising the return of the Messiah in the last days. God cannot recognize any person as part of His ideal until people receive the blessing from the returning Messiah, and thus change their satanic lineage to God's heavenly lineage. That is why people are not completely happy, because God cannot give them the energy and love that is part of His ideal of creation. He can do this only if we create conditions personally, separating ourselves from Satan and his false way of life, by which he leads this present world. But still, it will be less love and energy than what God can pour into us personally after He gives us His blessing. Fallen people may receive love and energy in the horizontal interaction of the world, but it is never at a level like God's spiritual one in His ideal. To give an example, it's like the affection a dog can give you from that of a partner you love. Any person, in the end, cannot help but confirm that he or she has experienced in life feelings of shame, guilt, feeling, hatred, depression. This is because the relationship with the subject God is disconnected spiritually. We are like this because of spiritual problems, not physical or psychological. God Himself, when people do not create a condition, can do nothing but leave people alone, because Satan with the fall established his dominion, his role, his laws, his power of darkness in this world, as Jesus Himself admitted. People who do not know or live God's word make evil conditions and suffer, and God, because Satan is the god of this world, there is nothing he can do than to let these people be whipped left and right by the wind of Satan's dominion, here on earth and then also in the spiritual world, unfortunately.